If the Red Sox want a one-stop solution to most of their problems, this is it right here. What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to Red Seat Radio. My name is Corbin, and what if I told you there was one singular trade that could wipe away a lot of the problems facing the 2024 Boston Red Sox, at least on the field? One singular trade that would bring in a top rotation type arm that's durable, young, and talented. A trade that could bring in an all-star great defensive center fielder that's also a right-handed power bat, and a trade that could fully transform this Red Sox lineup and rotation into a contending team. You would probably think I'm crazy, and I am a little bit, because this trade is a little bit nuts. It's a little bit impossible, but it's a lot of fun to talk about. So what we're going to do in today's video is we're going to break down a blockbuster trade that would transform the Red Sox. We're going to break down who these players are, talk about why they make sense on the Red Sox, what would it take to get and acquire these two players, and we're going to talk about from a scale of unlikely to impossible what the odds are that the Red Sox could actually pull something like this off. But before we get into that, just a heads up, we are going to be live tomorrow night on this channel around 7 p.m. Eastern time. We're going to be doing our bi-weekly Red Sox hot stove session, talking about all the latest Red Sox news. Anything you guys want answered, we will talk about in that live stream. Again, that is tomorrow night, Wednesday at 7 p.m. Eastern on this channel. Thank you all very much for clicking on this one. Let's get into it. The sort of crazy trade we're talking about today is the Red Sox acquiring the White Sox ace pitcher Dylan Cease, as well as acquiring their all-star caliber outfielder in Luis Robert Jr. Now, we've actually talked about Dylan Cease before on this channel. Specifically, we talked about the Red Sox trading for him at this year's deadline. Obviously, that did not happen. Maybe this is someone they approach and try and get during the 2024 offseason. So far in his career, Dylan Cease has spent 5 years at the major league level, and in those 5 years, he's amassed a 3.83 ERA with an almost identical 3.86 FIP, with a 1.305 WHIP, a 10.8 K per 9, and a 1.13 ERA plus, or about 13% more productive than the average pitcher in Major League Baseball. Now, these stats are a bit inflated because Dylan Cease had a really rocky 2023 season, which a lot of people have been pointing to as sort of regression from Dylan Cease, but I'm honestly not going to take too much stock into this 2023 season. The Chicago White Sox had so many issues on the field as well as off the field as well, in the clubhouse and in the media, that could point to everyone having a down year on the White Sox. It really did feel like everyone had a down year on the White Sox this year, so I'm not putting a ton of stock into Dylan Cease's 2023 season. And if you take out the 2023 season, his statistics go back down to what you'd expect from a top line pitcher like Dylan Cease. If you take out 2023, he has a career ERA of 3.56 with a much better 1.20 ERA plus. Dylan Cease is 27 years old with 2 years left under arbitration, meaning the Red Sox would have control over him until the 2026 season, and he's also a guy who's extremely durable. In his last 3 years as a true starting pitcher in Major League Baseball, he's made 30 plus starts every single year, and in 2 of those years, 2021 and 2022, Dylan Cease led the American League, or was at least tied in the American League for most starts made. That's a really impressive statistic, especially for a team like the Boston Red Sox. He's an ace caliber pitcher who has hit that ace caliber status 1 year in his career in 2022, where he came in second in AL Cy Young voting. But even if he doesn't fully reach that ace caliber potential, he's a guy who's going to be a top of the rotation type player for the Red Sox over the next couple of years if they were to acquire someone like this. We're talking about a 1 or a 2 caliber starting pitcher. Dylan Cease overall, if you're looking at why he makes sense for the Red Sox, is younger, he's more talented, and he's more durable than a lot of the pitchers the Red Sox currently have on their pitching staff, which would make acquiring Dylan Cease wonderful for the Boston Red Sox, who again could truly transform the top of their rotation and make them a more deadly threat pitching wise than we've seen over the last couple of years. The other part of this trade that truly makes it a blockbuster would be adding in all-star center fielder Luis Robert Jr. to this trade package. Now, some people pronounce it Robert, some people pronounce it Robert. I'm going to go by the way he pronounced it in an interview, which was Robert, but either way, Luis Robert Jr. has the potential to be one of the best hitting center fielders in all of Major League Baseball. When I talked about everyone having a down season with Dylan Cease, there's one exception to that rule, and that was Luis Robert, who had one of the best seasons of his entire career. In 2023, Luis Robert finished with a 264 average, a 315 on base percentage, and a really impressive 542 slug, good for a 128 OPS plus, or about 28% better than the average hitter in Major League Baseball. He also hit 38 home runs, 36 doubles, and he threw in 20 stolen bases as well. So when we're talking about what Luis Robert could bring to the Boston Red Sox, we're talking about power, we're talking about the ability to steal bags, and we're talking about extra base hits, which sounds like music to my ears. But on top of that too, he's also a really great defender. In 2023, he was in the 98th percentile for outs above average. To put that in perspective, there are only 2 players on the Boston Red Sox who were in the 50th or above percentile in outs above average, one of them being Trevor Story, who did not play a lot, and the other one being Alex Verdugo. On top of that too, he was in the 94th percentile for fielding run value, meaning that he was an excellent defender in 2023. And we're looking at Luis Robert, and we're going through those 3 categories I mentioned with Dylan Cease: younger, talented, and durability. He hits on 2 of the 3 of those. Luis Robert is only 26 years old, and he has 2 more years left of arbitration, meaning that you do have some control over Luis Robert if the Red Sox were to trade for him. On top of that too, again, he has superstar potential. He has top 5, top 10 hitter in Major League Baseball potential. This is a guy who could very easily become a superstar if he could finally capture that third part of this equation, which is durability, because that's the one concern with Luis Robert right now. Over the last couple of years in 22 and 21, Luis Robert dealt with some injuries that kept him out for a majority of the season. In 2022, he sprained his left wrist sliding into second base, and then sort of really unluckily and unfortunately, in the next couple of weeks, he was hit in the hand in the exact same spot by a pitch, and that essentially put him out for the rest of the year. In 2021, Luis Robert spent a lot of the year dealing with a hip flexor injury that kept him out for most of the season as well. So durability is the big question with Luis Robert, but at the same time too, in 2023, he was able to play 145 games, and look at what he was able to do when he got a full season under his belt, right? He was absolutely incredible. So is 2023 sort of a turning point in his health miscues, or is this going to be a bit of an issue going forward? That's the big question we got to ask with Luis Robert. But overall, when we're looking at why it makes sense for the Boston Red Sox to go after a guy like Luis Robert, the answer is pretty obvious, right? What are the biggest needs positionally for the Red Sox in 2024? It's right-handed power bats. They don't have a lot of them, and Luis Robert could be one of the best right-handed power bats in all of baseball. The other one, defense, right? The Red Sox were terrible defensively in 2023, looking to improve that in 2024. Luis Robert brings that and then some to the Boston Red Sox, and you throw in some speed as well, just as sort of the cherry on top. It makes a ton of sense for the Red Sox to go after a guy like Luis Robert, who could at one point, again, if he stays healthy and can sort of turn this corner on his injury history, be one of the top talents in Major League Baseball. So overall, both of these guys are almost perfect fits for what the Red Sox need. But again, the big question is, on a scale of unlikely to impossible, how likely is this trade to be made, and what are we going to have to give up to get these guys on the Boston Red Sox? The package to get these two onto the Red Sox and in a Red Sox uniform rightfully is massive. You're going to have to give up a whole lot to get these guys to Boston. In my opinion, the trade you're probably looking at is somewhere along this lines. To get Luis Robert and Dylan Cease to the Boston Red Sox, the Red Sox are most likely going to have to give up some guys like Roman Anthony, Jarren Duran, Miguel Blaze, Ceddanne Rafaela, and Nick York. Essentially, when you're looking at this trade package, you're looking at one of, if not the most talented player in the Red Sox farm system right now in Roman Anthony. You're probably going to have to give up 2 fringe top 100 guys in Ceddanne Rafaela and Nick York. You're going to have to give up one of your most young, talented players in Jarren Duran, and you're going to have to give up Miguel Blaze, who many consider to be the most talented player in the Red Sox farm system and the player who has the highest potential ceiling. Again, it's a massive haul, but at the same time too, it also completely fixes 2 of the biggest issues facing the Boston Red Red Sox not only in 2024, but in 2025 as well, with the potential to be a long-term solution, right? Pitching, defense, as well as right-handed power hitting are three of the biggest needs for the Red Sox going into the 2024 season. And honestly, beyond that, as many of your talented prospects are left-handed hitters, this could be a perfect trade for the Red Sox. But it's a really, really tough question to figure out, right? Do the Red Sox want to essentially blow up their farm system to improve their major league team over the next couple of years? It's a debate. It's a debate that's going to be had in the comments. It's a debate that's going to be had all over the place, but it's a really interesting conversation. In my opinion, when you break it all down, yes, this is a lot to give up. Yes, this will probably set your farm system back a couple of years, but this is a great solution to a lot of the Red Sox issues. And if you're asking me, would I make this trade if this exact package was offered to the Chicago White Sox? I'm saying yes. But the big question here is, and why it's almost next to impossible, is do the White Sox say yes, right? The White Sox have held on to these guys pretty tightly. This year's deadline, you heard that the White Sox were very against trading either of these guys. They didn't trade them last offseason. These are two guys they are holding extremely tight to the vest. So it's almost next to impossible, but I wouldn't say quite impossible. I would say very, very close. And the reason I'm saying it's not totally impossible that the White Sox say yes to this question right here, or this trade proposal right here, is because the White Sox essentially have to rebuild, right? They had one of their worst seasons in recent memory this season. They had a lot of issues both on the field and off the field. They're going to have to essentially completely retool before they're competitive in their division again. They only have 2 years left of arbitration with both Dylan Cease and Luis Robert. Unless they extend these guys, there's a pretty good chance that by the time this team, the Chicago White Sox, are ready to rebuild, Luis Robert and Dylan Cease aren't a part of it. If the Red Sox can somehow convince the Chicago White Sox that, hey, listen, look, you guys are retooling, you guys are rebuilding, we can give you tools to speed up that process, to be competitive in 3 or 4 years, right? Because you look at this package, you got Jarren Duran and Ceddanne Rafael, who are major league ready. Nick York, who's knocking on the door of being major league ready. Roman Anthony, who's about a year off, and Miguel Blaze, probably the most talented of all of these guys, only 3 years away, right? These are big pieces that could help you become a powerhouse in the AL Central once again. So again, while I think it's very, very unlikely, like 1% chance of this happening unlikely, I don't think this trade is impossible. And I think if you could phrase it the right way, this trade might actually not be out of the realm of possibilities, which is pretty crazy to say. But again, I don't think this trade is going to happen. I don't think this trade is going to happen. I don't think the Red Sox are going to give this up. I don't think the Chicago White Sox are going to say yes to this. It's just an extremely fun hypothetical to talk about because honestly, there's not much going on right now. This is the type of trade that I think Red Sox fans have been wanting for a while. This is the type of trade that makes the hair on the back of your neck stand up. This is the type of trade that makes you rush to Red Sox merch store and buy a jersey. This is the type of trade to galvanize a fan base, and I would love for the Red Sox to do something like this. But that's just my opinion. So let me know in the comment section down below. What do you think of this trade? Are you all in? Are you all out? Would you trade out some pieces in this trade? And honestly, whether you're a Chicago White Sox fan or a Red Sox fan, let me know in the comment section down below which part of this trade you disagree with, because I'm going to guess 98% of you guys don't want this trade to happen. Let me know all your thoughts on the Red Sox blockbuster trade with the White Sox in this proposal in the comment section down below. As always, if you made it to the end of this video, do me a favor. Make sure you guys have hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. If you're new here, we talk Red Sox content almost every single day. Also, make sure you guys have hit the like button on this video as well. Helps these videos out a ton, and it would mean a lot to me. Don't forget, we are going to be live tomorrow night, Wednesday at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. Thank you all very much for clicking on this one, and I will see you in the Red Seats.